Hey everybody, I'm Sylvie and I'm going to show you how to put together your LED nightlight kit. So here are two examples of LED nightlight kits. So here's one. So in the back we have a switch and the battery, and this is the cord from the switch. And these are the LEDs. So they light up, and then you put a marble in front of them and they disperse the light. So you can make them facing in all directions, sort of in the round, or you can make it sort of meant to face one direction. So here's this one, but the back is still sort of meant to be exposed and pretty. So think about if you want your switch in the front or in the back as I go through the parts. So what you got in your kit is a base, and this is a package of all the blocks. And then you got this this bag with all of the electrical components, and then you have a tub of glue and a glue spreader, and you can wear your safety glasses for this project. It's good just to always wear them, and some sandpaper. This project doesn't need much sanding if you don't want to sand too much. So in here, the only thing that's going to roll away from you are these marbles. So if you're working on a flat surface, it should be fine. If not, a great place to keep them for right now is on top of the glue dish. So there's one of these in your bag, and then there's 3 of them in here. I only did 3 lights, but I wanted you to be able to have at least 3, and you could have 4. So you need to be a little bit gentle with these LEDs. So with these LEDs, you have a black wire, and this one has a red wire. Usually most electronics have a black wire and a red wire. These ones, the black still means the same thing, and this is the color the light is. So this light is orange, and then this one is yellow, and this one happens to be red. So LEDs are really great, and they're a little bit different than the lights that I grew up with. So this is our drawing of a simple circuit. So we have our battery, and then the skinnier thing on here is the positive, and the bigger one is the negative, and it will say on the side, it'll have a plus side or a minus side, and the minus is called the anode, and the positive is called the cathode. So it's positive and negative, anode and cathode. And then this is the attachment, and it clips right onto the top of the battery. And this battery has this lead, that's what they're called, battery leads, has two wires as well. So usually you call the positive wire your hot wire. And what it's doing is it needs to make a circuit, a full circle of connection for, that's how the batteries work. When the 2 ends connect, it sort of knocks an electron and makes the electrical circuit. So the thing with LEDs is they have what's called a resistor, and that's this little bump in the colored wire. So we want to be careful with that. And what it does is, because these it sort of converts the voltage to a resistor sort of makes tightens, makes less electricity go through. It resists the electricity, so it puts the right amount into an LED. And so where the switch goes off of our cathode, our red wire, and then this has a red wire and a black wire, and we're just going to attach the red wire, the black wire to the red wire on our battery lead, just so that we have another red one coming out so we know what it is. And this basically just breaks the circuit and then connects it and breaks it and connects it. So our flow will go from our cathode side of our battery to our switch, and then we attach all of the non-black sides of our LEDs together to the end of the red line on the switch, and then all of the black leads to the anode side of the battery. And we'll go through this again, but I just wanted you to see this, this picture. So there's a number of ways to make lights work and make a circuit, and this is the way you do it with these small LED lights. So we can test it, and a lot of LEDs only work one way, right? So now it's not lighting up, and now it lights up. Our black wire always has to be on the anode, and our colored wire, our non-black wire, has to be on the cathode. Okay? So I know that's a lot, but we will go through it. So we have our LEDs, our battery connector, our switch, and then these are little pieces of electrical tape that we'll use to make sure the connection is good, and then you have your battery. So we'll get to all of these parts. I just want to go through all of the parts in the kit, and then these are the legs for your table, for your lamp. I guess it could be a very small table. And then we have our marbles, our glue, and then you can open this a number of ways. If you've already opened it, that's fine, but I'm gonna pierce this with some scissors and make an X, or try to. I'm gonna rip this open. My X idea didn't really work, but now it's sort of a bowl for this, for all of these pieces, and I'll find these other three. So now I have all my blocks, and you have blocks of two sizes. This one is exactly half. This one's half of this one, and this one is the same size as this one, so that you can build with this, and three of these come up to the top of here. So it's made so you can do a lot of different things and build up layers, and everything is on the same level, sort of how I did this right here. And this is called bricklaying. It's like building with bricks or with Legos, and it's great practice to do it sort of with glue and without Legos, and that's what makes the structure stable. If I just had one line up and another line up and the two lines weren't connected, it would be wobbly. But by overlaying this gap with a solid piece and making it like bricks, it's very strong. So these have a little bit of bricklaying. This, it's fine because it's only this tall, so if you want to make a bunch of little towers, you totally can. So the first step is to just think about what you want your light to look like. And we're going to put some parts together so that you can play around with what you might want it to look like. So the first step is to put your marbles somewhere else. We'll put it in all these wires so that they won't roll away. Of course, that one wants to roll away. I'm going to get my glue spreader, and I do have a wet paper towel and a dry paper towel in case I need them. And I'm just going to get a little bit of glue. I can wipe it on the edges, and I'll just put a little glue in these holes. Boom. And so these, you can probably press these in. You can tap them in with your hammer if you want to. And this is really the only thing that you need a hammer for in this project. And we need this up high so you can grab it. It's a little easier, but this switch, the cords come out the bottom, so we need somewhere for the cords to go. So I'll put my glue aside and I'll string these through here. And just think about how you want this. Once we press it in, it's sort of in there. And so you just push really hard, boop, and now it's in. Got that switch. That's great. And now what we're going to do is you string these back up through here so that they come up through the surface of the light. I don't know why this is a little wobbly. These should be all the same. It should be flat. We're going to not pay attention to that right now. I'm going to make a square with these to keep my marbles trapped, make some sort of a trap marble shape. And then in here, I think there was supposed to be a rubber band. Someone forgot a rubber band. We'll take one off of, this guy's got two. And the rubber band really just holds the battery in. I apologize if I forgot a rubber band in your kit. So what you do is you just sort of put it through here, and then I can put it around my rubber band and my battery won't fall. So think about if you want the sort of guts of this in the front to be part of your night light or not. And so we have these blocks, and you can imagine where you might want them in the air. They don't have to be like this. They could be like this. You could make, if you want this to face forward, you could make it a face, you could make it a cupcake, you could make it a rocket ship, you could make it an elevator, whatever you would like. Don't forget about ice cream cones. I'll show you about, we'll set up the lights a little bit just so you can get a better idea of what your night light might look like. So I want to remember that we'll hang up our little, we can hold up this again. So this is my anode and this is my cathode. And I want my anode side to go to the switch and then to the lights, and then all the black wires get tied together for the return, for the anode side to make the circuit. So what we want to do, I've stripped all these wires for you, this protective coating, so that we can twist the wires together. So what you want to do is you want to twist them pretty good. I make sure these ties sort of splay out, and then I go around and around and around and around and around like that. And then this is going to be a little bit interesting, challenging. Use your fingernail, get a corner of this tape up, and then you have one piece of electrical tape. And then you can fold this over if you want to make it a little smaller, and we want to make sure all of our wires are covered. So I wrap that around. I can cut it a little shorter. It doesn't need to go around that many times. So now I've attached this to one side of my switch, and now I want to attach, I'm going to grab the yellow side and the orange side and the white side and the red side. So I'm going to make sure all of these, you can spin them so that they all stay together. So I'm going to spin these together a little bit bit to make these like one. So I have all 4 of my lights, all of my non-black leads, and then I twist all of these together, and then what I do is I'll twist this to the end of the switch. And that little hard bit on the front of the leads of the switch, that's a little bit of, it's all soldered together and getting ready to be soldered, but this is a fine way, soldering is a great way to put things together, but this is something you can do at home on your own. Okay, so now I want to separate these a little bit because these are the things that are going to be going into all of these little blocks. So I want to make sure that they're not terribly tangled. Not terribly tangled. So I'll twist all of these together, and then I will twist it together with this, the black lead from my battery cap. And I gave you a bunch of electrical tape because it's really common to have to take this apart. Don't take it apart by pulling the wires, just peel the tape off. The wires on these LEDs are tiny and very, can be a little fragile. So now I can put my battery cap on. Dun, 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 dun. Can you see? So we use the marbles because the LEDs, the way their light works, it projects forward. And what the marble does is it helps disperse that light. So we have these night light pieces, so great, that works. So now I can get to building. So we'll have one other thing to do with this tape, because these LEDs, what you don't want to do is wiggle this connection right here. That's where it's a little fragile. So you don't want to bend it down. But here are the little blocks, and I made it really, they're sort of loose so that you can take them in and out without having to pull too hard. And then when we finally put them in, what we'll do is we'll put a piece of some tape on the back like I did on this one so that they don't fall out. But here is how, and some of the marbles might need, this marble needs some glue. These marbles are of varying sizes. So here is this in front of a marble. And here's this one in front of a marble. So you can play with the marble color and play with the colors. So we can get to building. So I'm going to turn this off, and my marble escape artists. And you can draw on here. You can paint your base before you start if you want. I feel like it's a little easier to make this and then paint it and then put the lights in. So you can just play with building some different shapes and see what you can do, right? Like for this would need to be sort of half on, half off for it to bridge this gap and make it strong. So this, you can see that this is a different kind of wood than in the last kit. This is called medium density fiberboard, and it's basically a bunch of sawdust pressed together, and it's great for projects like this. And then, you know, think about this is how how high they can go. So if you want it high or if you want it just a low light with 4 right there, or if you want them to go in descending order or something. We can make this a light tower. So you can play a little bit before you decide what you want to make, how exactly you want to make your light. So, boop, we'll get to gluing. I'm not gonna play all that much just because I don't want this video to So it's just bridging that one, just a tiny bit. I'll fit that one right there. So all this interlocking is gonna, when the glue dries in about an hour, it'll make it really strong. So right now it's still pretty fragile. So you'll want to let it dry before you put all of your electrical pieces in it. Okay. So now I'm done building this. I want to cover my glue up. If you keep this covered, it'll last for a while. You can use it for other stuff. And so here's this. Oh, I should have put more pokey ones out. I guess I still could. I forgot that they were there because I couldn't see them. I only have one big block left. Where do I want it? I want one right here. And I could do one right here. This is sort of like reverse Jenga. I don't like that one. Take it out. Put it somewhere else. Maybe it doesn't need any more. Maybe I still want it. See, can't make up my mind. We'll put you right here. Except for you do not want to go right there. I'll put you right here. Boom. And if you want to wipe off these drips, just do it really gently with your, like, I have my hand on the back, so I'm supporting it, but you don't have to wipe off your drips. They can be part of it. So you want to let this dry for a little bit so it's not super fragile when you're putting the guts together. But I want to show you how to put the lights in. So I'm going to take my electrical tape again, and I just want some thin slices. There, I got 2 pieces at once. I need to just get one little piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one piece into some smaller pieces and just put them, oh look, there's a smaller piece right on the scissor. So I'm going to need 2 of these for every light, so that means I need 8. But that one didn't work. Oh, stuck to my finger. I have 6, 7, 8. Okay, so figure out which colored light goes in which hole. And so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get this light, and I'm going to put my lead sort of straight up and down. This is actually kind of a hard part, especially when you're, I want to do it so that you can see. So you want, whoop, and then you just, this is why you wait for your piece to be dry. Put that in there. Put this on the back. Just like that. Good light. You stay. Now I'll do this one. And these cords are heavy, so they're just sort of like pulling it back. And this is where they've become just a little bit tangled. I'm gonna, there. Now this white one isn't as tangled. So now I'll hold this one in, and I'm just putting this tape right on the side. Remember, you don't want to bend them. down. I know it's super tempting just to bend that down and tape over it, but you will break the LED lead, and we don't want to do that. So if you break one, you'll still have 3 lights. Ah! Adults who don't listen to themselves, let it dry before you do this. So I have 2 lights in. And so these, I just want to make sure they're not super tangled. They're only a little bit tangled. So this one will go right in there. This one will go right in there. This one goes in here. And I think it's nice to be able to see all the guts of this thing that you made. And so now for the marbles, I'm just going to put you don't want to put too much glue. So this gets all soggy. But I gave you a couple of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a bit of glue around. I just don't want it to get in front of that LED. But I want to make sure these marbles don't fall out. And if you have tiny people in your house, small humans, be careful with the marbles. We don't want them to end up in a tiny person's mouth. So we'll use this, just get some glue in there. And if they fall out, you can glue them in again. You just want to be careful of tiny people. You don't want to put a crazy amount of glue in there. I'll go boop, boop. And you can scratch the glue off. And if you want to try to color these with a permanent marker or a marker, the marble and the whole piece, you totally can. You can paint it. I would wait to put the marbles in and all the lights if you're gonna paint it. But you can paint it and draw on it, or just be really careful when you paint it. Dun, 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 dun. Night light. Boom. So I know you all can do it. The lighting, the wiring might be a little bit challenging, but I know you all can do it, and I can't wait to see what you make. Have fun, and remember to be kind and to be helpful.